The wind came sideways, sharp enough to cut. Sam Holloway pulled his collar high and urged his mare forward through white blindness checking fence lines that probably weren't worth the ride. Late March in Montana Territory had a way of reminding a man who was in charge, and it wasn't him. The blizzard howled like something dying. Visibility was nothing. Sam considered turning back when he heard a child's cry, thin and desperate against the wind. He almost dismissed it as an animal. Almost. Conscience was a stubborn thing. He angled his mare toward the sound, squinting through the snow. What he found stopped his heart. An overturned wagon, half buried, canvas torn and flapping. A small boy crouched beside a woman lying motionless in the snow. "Please," the boy screamed when he saw Sam. "Please don't leave us." Sam dismounted, boots sinking deep. The woman was unconscious, her face pale as death. No horses, no supplies within reach, no help coming. He checked her pulse faint, but there. The boy was maybe 9 years old, shaking so hard his teeth chattered. "She won't wake up." The boy sobbed. "Is she—" "Not if I can help it. Son." Sam lifted the woman as gently as he could, surprisingly light, and secured her across his saddle. "Hold tight to me, don't let go." He pulled the boy up behind the woman, felt small arms lock around his waist. The cabin was still a mile away. In this storm, it might as well be 10. Sam turned his mare into the wind and pushed forward. The boy whispered prayers against his back. The woman's breathing was shallow. 2 more mouths, Sam thought. 6 weeks of winter left. God help us all. But he didn't slow down. The cabin held warmth like a promise barely kept. Sam laid the woman on his bed, the boy hovering beside her like a small guard. "Get back. Son, let me work." Sam built up the fire, then filled a tin cup with water from the kettle. He added willow bark from his stores for pain and fever and knelt beside the woman. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, sharp and intelligent, even through the haze of shock. She took in the cabin, Sam's face, the boy beside her. "Thomas," she whispered. "Is Thomas—" "I'm here, Grandma." The boy gripped her hand. She exhaled slowly, then tried to sit up. Sam stopped her with a gentle hand. "Ankles sprained, not broken, but you need rest." He offered the cup. "Drink this. It'll help." She drank without question, then studied him with unsettling clarity. "I'm Adelaide," she said. "This is my grandson, Thomas. We're grateful for your kindness, Mr. Holloway, Sam Holloway." He stood, suddenly aware of how small his cabin must seem. 1 room, 1 bed, 2 chairs and a table that had seen better years. "How long must we impose upon you, Mr. Holloway?" "Till the thaw, could be 6 weeks. No one travels this country in March storms." Adelaide's expression didn't change, but something passed behind her eyes. Resignation. Maybe. Or calculation. "Then we're in your debt." "It's not debt," Sam said. "It's just what's right." He pulled the pot of venison stew from the shelf and set it on the stove. Thomas watched him with enormous eyes, dark and solemn. "Hungry, son?" The boy nodded. Sam ladled out 3 bowls smaller portions than usual, but no one commented. Thomas ate like he was starving. Adelaide ate sparingly, her gaze moving between Sam and the empty cradle in the corner. She didn't ask. Sam was grateful. When the meal was done, he laid out the sleeping arrangements. Adelaide would take the bed. Thomas would get Sam's bedroll by the fire. Sam would make do with the chair. Adelaide started to protest. Sam raised a hand. "No arguments. You're injured, and the boy needs proper rest." She nodded slowly. "You're a man of principle, Mr. Holloway." "Just a man," Sam said. Night settled heavy. The wind rattled the shutters. Thomas murmured in his sleep. Restless. Adelaide's eyes found Sam's across the darkness. You've lost someone, she said quietly. I can see it. Sam looked at the fire. Most folks out here have. My husband passed 7 years ago. Her voice was steady. Some winters never thaw until they must. Sam said nothing, but something in his chest loosened, just slightly. The fire crackled. Outside, the storm raged on. Sam woke to the smell of coffee, real coffee. Not the chicory he'd been stretching for months. Adelaide moved carefully around the stove, favoring her good ankle, as if she'd always belonged there. Morning, she said. I hope you don't mind. I found your stores. You should be resting. I've rested enough, and idle hands don't suit me. Thomas was already awake, sitting cross-legged by the fire, staring at Sam like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Why do you live alone? The boy asked. Thomas, Adelaide said sharply. Manners. It's all right. Sam poured himself coffee, bought time with a long sip. Just the way things turned out. And where's your family? The question landed like a stone in still water. Sam's gaze drifted to the cradle. 3 winters ago. Clara, heavy with child. The storm trapping them miles from town. The midwife couldn't reach them. Sam had done everything he could, everything he knew, but it wasn't enough. His daughter lived for 3 hours. Clara followed her by dawn. He'd buried them under the pine tree behind the cabin. Some days he still heard Clara's voice in the wind. Mr. Holloway, Adelaide's voice, gentle. Sam blinked. Lost them. Long time ago. Thomas's face crumpled with understanding, far beyond his years. My papa died too. Mama said he's watching from heaven. Sam set down his cup. When he spoke, his voice was rough. Then he's proud of how brave you are. Adelaide's eyes shimmered. And he'd be grateful for men like you, Mr. Holloway. Before Sam could respond, the wind picked up a low moan that set his teeth on edge. He stepped outside. The sky was dark green at the edges. Another storm, bigger than the first. Inside, he called. Now! By noon, the blizzard was hammering the cabin like fists. Sam braced the door with timber, showing Thomas how to wedge the planks tight. Like this, Thomas asked, pushing hard. Just like that. Good work, son. The boy beamed. Adelaide watched them from beside the stove, her expression unreadable. But when Sam caught her eye, she smiled sad and knowing. The walls groaned. The shutters banged. Sam wedged the last timber into place and stepped back. If they survived this storm, he knew isolation was over. He couldn't unsee their need, or his own. The days found their pattern like stones settling in a creek bed, unexpected, but inevitable. 3 weeks passed. The storms eased, though winter still held the land in its grip. Snow piled high against the cabin walls. The world beyond was white silence. Inside, routines formed. Mornings. Sam taught Thomas practical skills. How to mend harness leather with an awl and wax thread. How to split kindling with a hatchet short. Controlled strikes. How to read animal tracks in the snow rabbit, deer, coyote. The boy absorbed everything with fierce concentration, his small hands mimicking Sam's movements. Why do rabbits hop in circles? Thomas asked one afternoon. Confuse predators. Makes them harder to catch. Are people like that too? Sam paused, considered. Sometimes, when they're scared, Thomas nodded solemnly, as if Sam had confirmed something he'd suspected. In the evenings, the boy read aloud from Sam's only book, a worn Bible his mother had given him decades ago. Thomas's reading was flawless, his voice clear. You've had schooling, Sam observed. Mama insisted on tutors, Thomas said, then quieter, before he didn't finish. Adelaide, mending Sam's coat by lamplight. Glanced up but said nothing. She'd proven herself invaluable. Her stitching was finer than any Sam had seen tiny, even stitches that made his torn sleeve look new. She cooked simple ingredients into proper meals, stretching their supplies with quiet efficiency. She never complained, never asked for special treatment. Just moved through the cabin with a grace that suggested capability, not servitude. One evening, as Thomas slept and the fire burned low, Adelaide set down her sewing. "You never speak her name," she said softly. "Your wife." Sam's jaw tightened. He stared at the flames. "May I know it?" Adelaide asked. The silence stretched. Then, barely audible, "Clara." "That's a kindness to her memory. And to yourself. Speaking it." Sam nodded, unable to respond. His throat was too tight. Adelaide returned to her stitching, but something had shifted. A door opened, just slightly, later, as they prepared for bed. Adelaide paused. "We should leave soon. The thaw is coming." Sam hung his coat on the peg. "I know. Thomas asks every day if we can stay. He's a good boy. He loves you." Adelaide's voice was quiet. "He feels safe here." Sam turned. Adelaide met his gaze, unflinching. "Do you," Sam asked, "feel safe?" "Yes." No hesitation. "Safer than I've felt in years." The words hung between them. Sam wanted to ask her to stay, wanted to beg. But fear was louder than want. "Good night, Mrs. Adelaide," he said instead. She smiled, sad around the edges. "Good night, Samuel." Spring arrived not as a victory, but as a question. Now what late April brought warmer days. Icicles dripped from the eaves. Crows returned, cawing from the pines. Patches of brown earth appeared through the snow like promises. Adelaide's ankle had fully healed. She walked the property each morning, her gaze assessing. She studied the creek positioning, the soil richness, the natural grazing areas. One afternoon, she stopped beside Sam as he repaired a section of fence. "This land could be worth a great deal with proper management," she said. Sam shrugged. "It's worth my peace." Adelaide tilted her head. "And peace is worth more than gold." "To me it is." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. A rare man, Samuel Holloway. Thomas had grown bolder. He followed Sam everywhere, chattering endlessly, asking questions Sam didn't always know how to answer. "Can we stay?" Thomas asked one evening. Point blank. Sam set down the harness he'd been oiling. "Your family must be searching for you. They'll want you home." "I don't care about them. I want to stay here, with you." The boy's face was fierce, desperate. Sam's heart cracked clean through. "Thomas, you don't want us," Thomas whispered. "That's why you won't say yes." "That's not true." "Then why?" "Because you deserve better than this." The words burst out of Sam before he could stop them. "You deserve a real home, a real family, not some broken-down cowboy in the middle of nowhere." Thomas stared at him. Then, quietly, "You're not broken. You're the best man I know." Sam couldn't breathe. That night, Thomas had nightmares, thrashing, crying out. Sam was at his side before Adelaide could rise. He held the boy, whispered reassurance, stroked his hair the way he'd imagined doing for his own child. Adelaide watched from the shadows, tears streaming silently down her face. When Thomas finally settled, Sam looked up. Adelaide mouthed 2 words. "Thank you." The next morning, she approached Sam while Thomas slept late. "You're a good man, Samuel. Better than you believe yourself to be." Sam shook his head. You've given us more than shelter. You've given Thomas hope. You've given me Something I thought I'd lost. What's that? Faith in humanity, in goodness. She paused. In the possibility of starting over. Sam wanted to say it, wanted to ask them to stay, to build something together, but the words wouldn't come. Adelaide pulled a folded letter from her pocket. When we leave, I'll need to post this. My family will be... He concerned. Sam's stomach dropped. Family, wealth, position. They'll come for you, he said. Yes. And you'll go back to your world. Adelaide met his eyes. I don't know what world I belong to anymore. Sam turned away before she could see his face. Sam heard the horses before he saw them, too many hooves for a neighborly visit. 6 riders crested the hill, moving fast, fine horses, tailored coats despite the trail conditions. The lead rider was a man in his 40s, square-jawed and cold-eyed. Thomas, playing outside, froze, then bolted for the cabin. Sam, men coming. Adelaide stepped onto the porch, her posture suddenly rigid. Sam moved beside her instinctively. Protective. The riders pulled up in a cloud of dust. The lead man dismounted, ignoring Sam entirely. Mrs. Adelaide Thornton. His voice was clipped, formal. Thank God. The entire territory has been searching. Thornton. Sam's mind reeled. The Thornton cattle empire. 30,000 acres. More wealth than most men could count. William, Adelaide said evenly, I sent word we were safe. 3 weeks ago. We've been frantic. William's gaze finally landed on Sam, assessing and dismissive in the same glance. And this is... Samuel Holloway, Sam said. This is my land. Is it... William's smile didn't reach his eyes. How? Fortunate for you, sheltering my mother-in-law and nephew. Thomas had hidden behind Sam, gripping his coat. Not his grandmother. Sam. The boy needed help, Sam said. So I helped. Of course. Very noble. William pulled an envelope from his coat. I'm prepared to compensate you generously for your... trouble. I don't want your money. William's smile thinned. Everyone has a price, Mr. Holloway. Name yours. Then you don't know everyone. Adelaide stepped forward. William. Mr. Holloway saved our lives. We were robbed by our own escorts, left to die in the blizzard. I told him nothing because I didn't know if I could trust him. Sam felt the words like a blade. Didn't know if I could trust him. I see. William's tone suggested he didn't believe it. Well, regardless, it's time to leave. Mother Adelaide. Thomas, we've brought a carriage. I don't want to go, Thomas said, voice shaking. Thomas. He's my friend. The boy's voice cracked. William grabbed Thomas's arm, not gently. Enough. We're leaving. Wait. Adelaide started. But William was already dragging Thomas toward the horses. The boy looked back at Sam, tears streaming. And something in Sam's chest shattered. He wanted to fight, to stop them. But what right did he have? Adelaide approached Sam, her eyes pleading. Samuel, I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I was frightened. I didn't know. It's fine. Sam's voice was flat. You did what you had to. It's not fine, Samuel. You should go. Mrs. Thornton. Your family's waiting. Her face crumpled, but she nodded, turned away. Sam watched them ride off. Thomas twisted in the saddle, waving desperately. Sam didn't wave back. When they were gone. He walked into his cabin. It had never been louder in its silence. The cabin had never been louder in its silence. 2 weeks passed. Spring bloomed around Sam, wildflowers in the meadow, grass greening, birds nesting in the eaves. The world was coming alive. He was dying inside. Sam chopped firewood obsessively, far more than he'd ever need. He let the fire go cold at night, ate beans straight from the can, punished himself for the sin of caring, of hoping. One afternoon, he found Thomas's carved wooden horse behind the woodpile, must have fallen from the boy's pocket, hidden until now. Sam stared at it, nearly threw it into the stove. Couldn't. He sank to the floor, the horse clutched in his fist, and wept. First tears since Clara's death. Great. Wrenching sobs that tore out of him like something physical, when he was empty. He sat in the silence, and heard Clara's voice memory or imagination. He didn't know. You saved them once. Sam. Are you brave enough to be saved? They lied, he said to the empty room. They were never helpless. They were dying. That was true. The rest doesn't matter. She didn't trust me. She barely knew you. Trust is earned, so earn it. Sam looked at the cradle. No, not the cradle. It wasn't there anymore. When had he moved it? He'd put it in the shed, weeks ago. He hadn't even noticed. The cabin was changing. He was changing. I loved them, he whispered. Not their money. Them. The words settled like truth. A spring thunderstorm rolled in that evening, thunder and lightning. Rain hammering the roof. Sam stood outside in it, face turned up, letting it wash over him. He walked to the pine tree where Clara and his daughter were buried. Knelt in the mud. Clara, I don't know if you can hear me, but I think you sent them. Thomas and Adelaide. Not to replace you. No one could, but to remind me that love doesn't die just because people do. It just waits for us to be brave enough to try again. Lightning split the sky. Sam stood, walked back to the cabin, packed light. At dawn, he saddled his mare, put the wooden horse in his saddlebag. He was riding to the Thornton estate, not for reconciliation, for truth. The Thornton estate wasn't a ranch, it was a kingdom. Sam rode through the gates mid-afternoon, his mare's hooves loud on the packed dirt road. Ranch hands stopped working to stare. The main house loomed ahead 2 stories, white-painted, wraparound porch, wealth in every plank. Sam felt microscopic, but he didn't turn back. William intercepted him at the corral, flanked by 2 hands. You've got nerve showing up here. What do you want? I want to speak to Mrs. Thornton. She's not receiving visitors. Then I'll wait. William stepped closer, voice low. Listen carefully. Whatever scheme you're running. Sam. Thomas burst from the house, running full speed. He crashed into Sam with desperate force, arms locking around his waist. You came. Grandma said you wouldn't, but I knew you would. Sam knelt, held the boy tight. Hey, son, miss me? Thomas nodded against his shoulder, crying. Adelaide appeared on the porch, one hand pressed to her mouth. She descended the steps slowly, hope and fear warring in her expression. Samuel. Sam stood, keeping one hand on Thomas's shoulder. Ranch hands had gathered now, watching. William looked murderous. Ma'am, I came to say something I should have said when you left. Adelaide stopped a few feet away. I'm listening. Sam took a breath, faced her, faced all of them. I didn't shelter you for reward. I didn't care who you were or what you had. You needed help, and I gave it because that's the code a man lives by, or he's not a man at all. His voice steadied. I'd do it again tomorrow, and the day after. Adelaide's eyes shimmered. But there's more. Sam's voice cracked. These past weeks, you reminded me what living is. Not just surviving, living. I loved having you in my home. I loved hearing Thomas laugh. I loved. He stopped, collected himself. I loved feeling like I mattered again. Silence. Every eye on him. Adelaide stepped closer. Samuel, I stayed those extra weeks because I was waiting for you to ask us not to leave. When you didn't, I thought perhaps I'd mistaken your kindness for something more. I was afraid. Sam's throat was tight. Afraid you'd pity me. Afraid I wasn't enough. You're more than enough. Adelaide's voice broke. You're everything Thomas needs. Everything She stopped. But Sam understood. Thomas pulled Sam's hand. Does this mean you'll stay or we can come back? Sam looked at Adelaide. I can't offer you a mansion. Just a cabin. Hard work. And a man who'll never stop trying to be worthy of you. Adelaide's smile was sunlight through clouds. Samuel, I don't want a mansion. I want a home. And home is where you are. William made a disgusted sound and stalked away. Adelaide took Sam's hand, led him toward the porch. We have much to discuss. Partnership, land, the future. But first she brought out lemonade. The three of them sat together, Thomas chattering about everything he wanted to show Sam. And for the first time in 3 years, Sam felt the weight lift. The cabin had grown, the way hearts do when they stop hiding. 3 months later, August heat shimmered over the meadow. Sam's cabin now had a second room, a proper bedroom for Thomas's visits. Built with timber Sam had cut himself, and Thornton ranch hands had helped raise. Sam was foreman of the Northern Range now. Not charity, partnership. Adelaide had offered to buy his land. Sam had countered with a proposal to combine it with Thornton property, run cattle together, split profits fairly. She'd agreed immediately. Sam worked alongside men who respected him for skill and character, not pity. The land prospered under his careful stewardship. Fences mended, herds healthy, creek water managed. He'd found purpose again. But more than that, he'd found family. Thomas visited every weekend, sometimes longer. His room was simple but loved a bed Sam had built, shelves for books, the carved horse on the windowsill. The boy helped with chores, rode fence lines, learned ranching, laughed freely, grew stronger, braver. Adelaide visited 3 times a week, sometimes stayed overnight in the guest room Sam had built for her. She brought supplies, conversation, laughter. Their relationship had deepened slowly, respectfully. No rush, just steady. One evening in late August, Thomas chased a newborn calf across the pasture, whooping with joy. Sam lifted the boy onto his shoulder so he could see the sunset painting the mountains gold. Adelaide rode up on her mare, dismounted, joined them. Her hand found Sam's naturally. The three of them watched the land turn to fire. Sam, Thomas said from his perch, when I grow up, can I run this ranch with you? Son, you'll run the whole territory if you want. But yes, we'll run it together. Adelaide squeezed Sam's hand, looked up at him. You've given him a future. You've given me a second chance at happiness. Sam met her eyes. You gave me a reason to take it. Thomas laughed as the calf bucked playfully. The sound carried across the meadow like a bell. That night, after Thomas was asleep, Sam stood in his doorway. The cradle was long gone, replaced by a child's laughter, a woman's presence, a home that breathed with life. Adelaide stood beside him, shoulder touching his. Outside, wildflowers bloomed. The creek ran clear. Stars emerged one by one. Winter tests us, Adelaide said softly. Sam nodded. Spring proves what remains. She leaned her head against his shoulder. And summer? Sam smiled, felt peace settle in his bones. Summer, he said, is for the living. The end.